What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to Behind the Ramble. I'm, of course, Jimmy, and a bit of a different one today because I appreciate with our recent relationship with One Leeds growing, there are some Leeds fans that have come across, and we're in quite the race, to be honest. And before I go any further, I have to say, I'm conscious that this is not just a two-horse promotion race. Of course, there are other clubs involved. Burnley are hot on our heels, as are Sunderland, and I think Middlesbrough will continue to push as well. So it's certainly not just about the two clubs, Sheffield United and Leeds. However, we are the top two as it stands. As a fan of Sheffield United, I feel Leeds are the greatest threat to rivaling us for promotion, if you like. Myself and Connor have started a show on One Leeds called Battle Lines. And I think the general consensus there, and it's not always easy to come to an agreement between the two parties, but when discussing our own clubs and backing our own clubs, I often say that I think Sheffield United have the best team in the league, or at least put them up against any other 11 when we've got all our full 11 fit. Where I think we're slightly short is in squad depth. I think we're a flexible squad, which kind of makes up for it a little bit, but I do think Leeds have potentially got the best squad in the league. You could argue that Burnley do also. There's people that will come in and want to argue that point, and that's fair enough. But we're coming into January, and we're looking where we can strengthen. I think this is where Leeds may have an issue. I get it's a slanted way of looking at it, but I'll give you an example. A lot of our fans feel like we need more quality up front in the striking position. We're not going to sign a striker. We are not. It's just not going to happen. We signed Kiefer Moore in the summer. We signed Tyrese Campbell in the summer. Ryan Brewster is hopefully returned to full fitness. So we've got three options there. If you chuck Ryan One as well in, there's four options for one spot. We play one striker up front, as do Leeds, but we play one striker up front, and we've heavily invested, particularly in Kiefer Moore, but also Tyrese Campbell has forced his way into the reckoning for Sheffield United. So we're not going to sign a striker. It doesn't stop fans wanting a striker, and I understand it because everybody wants to up the quality levels, and the name that's being bandied about is Tom Cannon. Tom Cannon is on loan at Stoke from Leicester. Good player, very good player. I like him, actually. I mentioned him in pre-season as somebody I'd like us to look at. There's a lot of fans saying, well, you can get him to terminate that loan at Stoke because there's a chance he's going to be playing in a promotion-winning side. Well, there is, but we're not going to sign a striker. What? And I'll tell you why. Because he's getting guaranteed minutes at Stoke. He's their main man up front. There's no chance of him really. And if he does drop down the pecking order, he's one away from coming back in. If he comes to Sheffield United, he's immediately behind Kiefer Moore and Tyrese Campbell. Because when Tyrese Campbell's fit, it's his shirt. Kiefer Moore, we've invested a lot of money in, and he gives us something different as well, to be fair. So I don't think it's going to be easy to dislodge him from the team. So as much as Tom Cannon potentially improves us, it doesn't necessarily mean that we'll get him because it doesn't work for the player. The player won't want to sit out. He'll want to be playing games. It doesn't work for the parent club because he's getting games at his current loan club. I think this could come back and bite Leeds United in the backside. If you look at Leeds, their squad depth is significant, really. And that's something that they're rightly proud of. It's something that currently gives them an edge. But if we were to go in for the same player, for example, I'm going to use Louis Barry as a typical name to throw out there. On our left-hand side, we're playing Gus Hamer. Brilliant player who's making that position work for him because he's so good. But he's not a left winger, and we all know that. If you could play Gus Hamer in the 10, I think he's more effective, personally. But we need an orthodox left winger, and that is Louis Barry. So if Louis Barry comes to Sheffield United, he's certainly not guaranteed any minutes because that's not how we do things. But he's more likely to play in a lot of games, particularly if he can get the shirt and keep hold of it. You look at Leeds, they come in for the same player. And some may argue Leeds are a bigger club. There's more news around Leeds and there's more coverage of Leeds. But they're behind us at the moment in the league. And if you look at their squad, on the left-hand side, who have they got that can play on the left? They've got Willie Nonto. They've got Manor Solomon. You could put Dan James out there if you needed to. There's loads of options for Leeds. And while that's great for them, It's not. It, it's not when you're trying to bring in a left winger to improve the side. So if Louis Barry is looking at it, where am I going to develop the most? If Aston Villa are looking at it, where does Louis Barry develop the most? Where's the biggest chance he gets minutes? It's Sheffield United. And I think we've also got a fantastic track record. This, not saying Leeds haven't, because Joe Rothwell's now playing for them and playing well. We have a fantastic track record of utilising loan players really effectively and bringing them on. Started with Morgan Gibbs-White. Could have say it went even further back with Dean Henderson. Clubs know that they can trust Sheffield United to utilise, to help them on in terms of their youngsters developing. Raksaki's getting a lot of game time despite going through a bit of a sticky patch at the moment. Alfie Gilchrist is getting a lot of game time. Harry Souttar has played every game when he's been available. This is what clubs want for their prospects. So if we are in for the same player as Leeds, I think their squad depth is potentially going to hurt them. They've got 4 players in centre midfield, which they think are the best in the business. So that's Ampadu, Gruev, who was out injured, I believe, long term, but Rothwell, Tanaka, and don't get me wrong, I really like Tanaka. I think Ampadu's slightly overrated, but they don't, and they watch him a lot more than me. But is a centre midfielder coming down from the Premier League going to get minutes in that Leeds United side over those players, as opposed to getting in front of Sidney Peck? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And I think that's something that's been slightly missed in this. I think we've got the edge in the loan market, at least. We might not have the financial muscle at this moment in time, but again, new ownership. Who knows what sort of financial muscle we're going to have going forward. So we may now be able to compete for permanent transfers. But I certainly think for loan transfers, where clubs are looking at where they can place their prospects, Sheffield United is a more desirable location than Leeds United, just due to the spaces available and the opportunities that will be given. Let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously, it's not a live video, so I can't bring up any comments, which is rare for me because I like to go live. But let me know what you think. I'm really interested, because you may disagree completely, and that's absolutely fine. But let me know why. If you're not already and you like what we do, then please do subscribe to the channel. This is our second channel where we sort of pull the curtain back a little bit on things that we're thinking about. It's not always going to be fully Sheffield United centric, although it will be 99% of the time. But we will talk about other things such as Leeds United, which I wouldn't necessarily discuss too much on the main channel. But yeah, thank you for joining us. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades! Up the blades, up the ramble.